Hi folks, Exeter Rider here, thanks for joining me once again. Now this week it's the first ride of the new NQI GTS Pro electric scooter. Done some electric rides. I went on the Zero the other week and I've got a real bug in my brain about it, so I was really digging around to try and find more and find somehow I've been able to afford a electric bike of some description, and the first one that kind of worked was this one here, which is made by NIU. Now it's a Chinese company, and before you all start commenting and all the normal comments about Chinese bikes, which I might add, I a little while ago I would have agreed with you. I mean, I've had friends with Chinese bikes before and there have been nothing but problems, but for the last 10 years they have come on big time. Let's get it straight from the start. The interesting points about this scooter: well, you get a tracker with it, right? So that's one of my concerns with electric scooters, is that they are so light, they're so easy to lift, chuck on the van, and away you go with it. But this one here is really good because you can get the app for it, and what that will do is it will do a number of things. Firstly, it will give you the tracker. Secondly, it will check the range and let you know how far you've got to go on a particular charge. It gives you the fault codes as well. If there's something wrong with the bike, you don't have to go to the main dealers. Generally speaking, your phone will connect to it and it will give you a fault code which will tell you what that is and what to do about it. The motor is made by Bosch, which are leaders in the electric push bike or bicycle. And is she going to cross? You never know sometimes, do you? They're leaders in electric scooters and bicycles. All the tech is designed by ex-Apple and Microsoft engineers. It's got self-cancelling indicators, which is surprisingly handy. It's one less thing to think about. And I've also, watch this, I'll lock it there. It's got a cruise control as well, so you can just lock it off and it will stick to the speed limit. So all in all, it's a good little package. The batteries are also removable, so if you live in a flat or somewhere where you can't get the charging lead out to, then you can pull the batteries out of this bike, take them indoors and charge them up. Now obviously the question you are going to be asking is, what sort of range can you get on this bike? Well, NIU say that you can get 100 miles out of this bike. Now, as with all these things, you've got to take that with a pinch of salt. Yes, you will get 100 miles on it if you're on eco. But if you're in eco mode, I've got 3 modes here: sport, eco and dynamic. If you are on eco mode, then you've got a maximum speed of about 15 miles an hour. So to me, that's just rendered it useless. Although I've had this, this is a first ride video, I have actually had this bike for a week now. Oops. And I've put 100 miles on it already, so I guess you could say it's not strictly a first ride, but let's not split hairs on that one. But I found that in sport mode, which is the mode you want to ride in all the time, you'll get to about 45 miles an hour, and the range will be between 45 and 50 miles is what I've been getting. Right, so of course this is generally a bike which is going to be for city riding and filtering and B roads riding, generally speaking. And for that, it does a very good job. You don't really need anything more than this in the city. It's a great way of getting around. nice and smooth, no vibrations. It's perfect. Nice and light, so you can filter around and get through the traffic. It's just what you need for the city. You don't need anything more than this. With it being so quiet, of course, you're always very, very conscious that people can't hear you. But in fact, because it is so relaxing, you've got less to think about, not having any gears, and it's a lot quieter. You've got that extra bit of brain power you can put onto knowing that you are a lot more silent, so you can kind of concentrate a little bit more in some ways, like watching them come up. So this just does make you more aware of things going on around you. Of course, you can hear more as well, and the argument that no one can hear you, it's very valid with pedestrians, but I would say that it's not really that valid with cars, because even when I'm on my NC, if I was riding along now, people couldn't hear me now. He wouldn't be able to hear me in front, in the Audi there, because it is still quite quiet. And they got their windows up, air conditioning on. So yeah, with it being quiet, it's not as dangerous as people might think. It's not a lot of difference in it, I don't think. So coming up to the lights, to be honest, I would be hoping for a bit more power than what I've got here. Although it does get you away from the lights, it's not lightning quick, and you do have to be a bit mindful. Now, I know that this isn't going to be everybody's cup of tea. I know that straight away, mainly due to the way it looks. It's not going to be everyone's style, but for this is what I would consider, but really, a very, very practical machine. I mean, even on my NC, I probably won't be able to do what I'm doing here. And if you just need an everyday scooter just to get you from A to B, then you don't really need a lot more than this. You really don't. See, that's full whack there. Oh, still at the lights waiting. You really don't need a lot more than this. And it is one of those bikes that you buy because, firstly, because of the novelty, and secondly, because of just the practicability. You just cannot beat the practicability of this bike, especially for £3,500. I think that's a really good price, and it's learner legal as well, so you could be on a CBT and still ride it. I think it's a very good choice when you think that a more well-known brand, you know, 125 start around 4K mark, you're kind of ahead of the game if you get something like this. You might say that, what about the range? Well, yeah, okay, so if you do more than 45 miles a day, then yeah, it may not be for you. But I mean, first of all, you can plug it into your normal house socket, and charge it up. So there's none of this big commando, or what I call a commando socket. That's what we call it in the trade, a commando socket, and you have to find a charging point, because charging points are everywhere. Oh, that's very kind of you. Thank you very much. So for that side of things, it's very, very good. It's a very practical machine. With 20-mile-an-hour limits, that's quite hard to do on a bike, isn't it? Even on my NC, that's a difficult speed to keep at. But I mean, if I take it up to sort of 18 miles an hour, 20 miles an hour there, look, and put cruise control on, I'm not breaking the speed limit now. Well, I am by 1 mile an hour, but you know what I mean. So again, it just makes that whole practical element of this scooter a lot more viable. Makes a lot of sense. Right, let's just practice the self-cancelling indicators here. So we're going to do a left out onto this main road. I can hear a emergency vehicle coming from somewhere a mile off because I am so quiet. So I've got advanced warning on that one. As you can tell, the self-cancelling indicators work very, very well. Clear, clear. But again, for getting to work every day, this bike is ideal. Very good. But as with all scooters, you got to kind of not give a damn what everybody else thinks, because at the end of the day they don't know what you know and what this bike is good for. It's such a nice feeling when you're filtering and you don't have to worry about dropping the blooming thing. Ever so light. I think it's around 115 kilograms, something like that. Yeah, so let's just jump off the bike and just have a little walk round a minute to show you what it's like. So the old Exeter castle there. So we've got a centre stand and a side stand with this bike. There's the motor down there. That's the Bosch motor there. It's 3000 watt motor. It's quite a torquey little thing. It's not particularly quick. It's a gentle, progressive acceleration that you get from it. Oh, that's typical, cars coming down. It's a two-seater, so we've got these little pegs here. Now you might think, has that got enough power to pull 2 people? And the answer is yes. Easy, because of the torque and the way it works on an electric vehicle. Let's get out of his way. I mean, that's typical, isn't it? Like I say, that floor pan there is higher than most scooters because we got the battery underneath, and then we got the other battery under here. So what that does is that can unplug there if you live in a flat or somewhere where you can't plug the bike in, and you can walk this indoors. Don't lose that, because that's £1,000 there. But if you want to choose, if you want to charge the batteries at the both at the same time, then you just plug your charger into there, and it will charge them overnight. That's what I've been doing, and I've just been leaving the batteries in the bike and charging them up in situ. So charging time for the batteries is from 0% is 7 hours. But if you take them out, you have got a splitter cable which you can use, which will charge it in about 4.5 hours. But realistically, if you're going to work every day on it, and you have a 20-mile journey to work, or 25 miles, let's say, then this bike is ideal, because you'll just get home every night, plug it in, and you're back on 100% again the next day. So to look at, yes, it's a scooter. It's not going to be for everybody. I personally am not really a scooter person. I've had scooters before. I've owned 2 of them, but I kind of it's not really my thing anymore. But that being said, that looks pretty cool for a scooter. I think you'd agree with that. Do you think? I like it. Right, so to quickly run you through the dash, we've got the miles per hour there, and then we've got the mode selector. So if you put it into sport, that's the one that you're going to be using all the time. We got the tracker as well, so if I want to go and take the missus for a ride and take her to Nando's, for example, I could be eating me chicken and I haven't actually got the app fired up at the moment, but if I give the bike a bit of a shake like that, or somebody's trying to remove it or take the disc lock off, then it's going to give me an alert on my phone telling me that somebody's attacking my bike, and I can get back to it and sort them out. Yeah, I think it's really good. So we've got these annoying indicators. Yeah, so they're just well known for that noise. You can change the noise on the app, okay? Okay, so to start the bike, we turn the ignition key on there. There we go, which it does that. And again, it always starts up in dynamic, so I'm going to go straight to sport. And then you push the little green button here, which is a bit like your start button, and you got a ready light. Now, most people say that these electric scooters and bikes are too quiet. I always disagree with that. It's actually really nice having them quiet. However, in this case, I must admit, there is absolutely nothing. No sound whatsoever. And that's nice, but if I'm honest, yes, I prefer to have some sort of whirl or sort of whiz that you get from the Zeros or the BMW e-Evolution. That had a similar sort of whirl on it. I have taken the missus in town on it, on the back, and like I say, it's very, very stable. And there's hardly any power loss. You don't really recognise any power loss at all until you come to a really steep hill, a bit like this hill here. But apart from that, honestly, it handles 2-up riding really, really well. You might be thinking, well, what about if you need to go in deep water and things like that? Well, this scooter can go in water up to 230mm deep without any issue. So that would cover the motor, for example. It's a sealed unit, so you're not going to get any water in there. We've got a centre stand as well as a side stand, which is handy. Decent grab handles here. It's very, very light to manoeuvre around. It's a real breeze and a breath of fresh air to be able to have a nice light bike like this. I haven't shut that properly yet, have I? Nice light bike. So again, for £3,500, with it being an electric bike and the competition out there, I think it's a really, really good price. To be honest, I have to be careful what I say with these things, but I honestly think that this is leading the way at the moment for a lower capacity, lower kilowattage motorbike scooter. Let's say scooter. This is the one that's at the top of the tree at the moment, within a realistic budget. It's not like your Zeros, 20 grand plus. Now, most of you are sat there, and I don't mean it in any disrespect, but you're probably thinking, Chinese. And I've had a friend who had a Jin Lun, and this is going back years ago, and it was an absolute pile of poo. And I did tell him at the time, don't buy it. But that's in the old days, and I think people still carry that mindset that the Chinese bikes are trash. But honestly, that is not the case anymore. You've got the Benellis, which I've tried a lot of. They're very good bikes. Not perfect, but considering the price, they're very good. And this is not, exactly the same thing as well. It's all the plastics are really, really solid, more solid than you get on some other, premium bikes. The back end doesn't flex around like the on some scooters. I'm not going to mention any names there. You got the tracker with it. You got the cruise control, which is a really useful thing actually when you in a 30-mile-an-hour zone and it's a long road. It's great just to lock it off and just cruise along. So for £3,500, when you consider that it's either this or a 125 petrol bike, I think this is a very good option. So what about the range then? Well, I have run it right down flat, down to 15%, and I didn't know it was going to go into limp mode, but it did. So that was something new to me. It didn't really I didn't feel that was a problem to me, because that was the second day. I'd done, you know, sort of 25 miles one day, and then 25, well, it's about 20 actually, 20 miles the following day, and that's when I was purposely trying to run it right down and trying to get the miles in. That's still quite a long way when you, on this type of bike, when you're not doing any more than 45 miles an hour. And I was going to work on it every day. I was doing some B-road stuff on it as well, and I never ever thought that I was going to have range problems until I purposefully tried to run it right down to the wire. But it certainly is. It's a really nice way to just run your errands and get around town. And it's cheap. You know, it costs about between 15 and 20p to charge up. This would be an ideal bike for a motorhome, because a lot of people put them on the back of motorhomes, don't they, and travel around. And this would be ideal, because they don't really get a lot of use, do they? It's just a seasonal use. But it would make no difference if this only had seasonal use. So if you ask me, would I have a 125 or this scooter, then that would honestly just depend on what you use your bikes for. And for example, if you're doing a lot of dual carriageway work, then obviously it's going to be the 125, because you'll get 60 out of a 125 and you get 45 out of this one. So it does make more sense to go for that option. However, if it was just city riding that I was doing, then this one wins hands down. I think it'd be an absolute joy to get home every day and plug it in and know that it's only costing you, you know, under 20 pence for a full charge of 40 miles, or let's say 45 miles. So in a week, you know, if you're well, it's 45 times 7, brain's not working, so whatever that is, it would actually work out okay. So this was just a quick first ride thoughts, really. I like doing things like that, because it just means that I don't have to go into it too heavily all at once on a full review. But I will be doing a full review on it, and a couple other videos if I get time and weather permitting, because at the moment it's very hit and miss. So thanks for watching this. I don't know how many miles I've done since I started this chat, but it's down to 87%. So I probably won't even bother charging it when I get back. I've been out for how long? About an hour I've been out for. Oh, there he is again. Second time I've seen him. Yeah, so I've been out for about an hour now, and it's down to 87%, so that's not bad going, I would say. Or any questions about riding electric? It's something I know a bit about now, so do feel free to ask away. That'd be great to hear your opinion on this bike as well, and what you think of it, good or bad. I want to know it all. And yeah, any conversation is good. So I'll leave you here. Thank you very much for watching. If it's your first time here, please give it a like. It does help, and it tells YouTube that it's what people want to be watching. And subscribe as well, if you'd be so very kind. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next Friday.